you are not required because we already had testimony twice.
So,
Well, you could, if you want to, take it. You don't want
all right, we're going to get an open up and come back to JLCAR, and so we'll come back to order. We're going to move on to objection responses, solid waste programs, landfill requirements, Rule OR 2474, and we'll start with the staff, and then we'll go to the agency if you guys want to come up and get ready.
All right, so the objection response was returned from the agency and no changes were made to the rule text. I have no substantive comments on the rule text. The DES did try to address the reasons for objection, including the DES states that the rules were more protective than the current rules, and that they responded to public comment and considered public comment. That's evidenced by the 26-page summary of comments and Exhibit 2 in the packet that has the spreadsheet of all comments. And they stated that there were no communications with stakeholders outside of the rulemaking process. And I think that eliminates the basis for objections that were raised. And so I have no further comments. Great.
Introduce yourself, guys.
Good afternoon. I'm Assistant Commissioner Adam Crapo at the Department of Environmental Services, and you're with me, Mike Wimsatt with the Waste Management Division. So I'll just give a quick intro and then I'll hand it over to Mike. But you know, we received a preliminary objection the last time we were at JLCAR. We feel that we have responded to the reasons for the objection. There were 3 reasons. You know, and we believe that these rules are much more protective than the current existing rules. And beyond that, we believe that we also provided plenty of opportunity for public comment through the process. I would argue we went above and beyond the required process for public comment when creating rules and doing rulemaking under 541A, and so I think those 2 points really encapsulate many of the reasons that went into doing a preliminary objection. So I'll hand it over to Mike to kind of go into more detail. But one of the other things that I would like to add is that these rules are more protected in 27 different areas, and in no case are less protective than to the public health and the environment than the current existing rules. And so, Mike, I don't know if you wanted to go into that or Representative McGuire.
Yes, thank you. Based on that response, I would like to move to approve the rule.
Second. Okay.
It's
been moved by Representative McGuire and seconded by Senator Avard. And you may speak to your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to approve the rule, which is more protective than the 10-plus-year-old rules we have currently in effect, because we need to settle it and go with this improved level of protection. They are not perfect, but most of the issues we have heard from, and we've had voluminous public testimony, appear to be based more on the policy for landfills than on the specifics of the rules. And I know there are more than 3 bills coming in this year that address the policy of landfills. And I would like to have a better baseline in the rules before we settle the issue of the policy, any changes to the policy. And because if any of those bills pass and change the requirements, the rules will have to be updated to incorporate those changes. And that's my my major purposes to separate the policy discussion, which is important, from the rules discussion. And JLCAR is not a policy committee. We can only go by what's currently in the laws. So that's why I moved to approve the rule.
Any comments? Any comments from anybody else? Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I will be opposing the motion because I feel that the statement that the response of the agency to the fact that these rules are better than the existing rules, the proposed rules are better than the existing rules, is almost disrespectful to the amount of opposition that these rules have received from the public, and the fact that they may be better in a whole series of ways does not mean that better is good. Better is not a sufficient response. These rules are not protective enough, and the fact that they may be better than the existing rules is very weak in my opinion. But I want to have an opportunity for the argument to be made with regard to a number of other aspects of the opposition that we have heard and seen, but also with regard to the objection bases that Representative Leon's motion was based on, and that this committee voted unanimously in support of. So I think the agency's categorical defense of their response or non-response, as the case may be, needs to be further explored, and we need to proceed.
Open to further discussion and comment. Representative Leo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at this, it's a challenging situation to be in because I don't think that the rules that are in there is protective as they should be. But I've been trying to look and see where this doesn't meet what the statutory guidelines are. I'm trying to see where there is something that is a role for JLCAR to say this, because if we look to the public benefit, we look to a lot of those issues about what environmental policy should be are settled in the legislature and policy committees. And I'm really looking forward to the discussion on it because I think people are becoming a lot more educated on this issue. And as much as I would like to do something here just because, I want to protect the water and the soil and whatnot, we also need to look at what the role is of JLCAR. And if we overstep things here, we're going to set out everything out of whack as well for every other rule that comes in front of us. So even though we may personally feel that we want to do something, we need to act in our role as JLCAR, not as an advocate and not trying to push policy in this committee.
Further discussion. So I am going to make the same statement as Representative Leon, understanding this is not a policy committee. The question is, as the law was passed and the rules were drafted based on the law was passed, did they meet the conditions in terms of the law that was passed? And there's been no objection to that. Everyone thinks that it meets the minimum requirement of the law, which is one of the criteria for JLCAR's objection. So the secondary purpose is, again, the clear intent of whether or not it protects the natural environment or anything else. It's clear that these rules, while may not go as far as some want, that's a policy decision, not a discussion of this body. That's a discussion for the Agriculture Environment Committee and the Energy Environment Committee in the House and the Senate. From the agency's response and from their objection response, it's clear that, again, there are multiple areas where these new rules are more restrictive than the current rules, which go further to protect our environment, protect our water, protect everything else, protect the New Hampshire beauty. And so, again, going beyond that is not, again, individual members here may think it doesn't go far enough, but that's what the purposes of bills are for, is for you to write a bill, and you can push it further if you think they didn't go far enough. So with that, if there's no further comment, I'm going to move to a vote. And we'll do
Excuse me,
this
Board
by.
Member, Mr. Chair, I want to acknowledge that you have pending requests for public testimony before the JLCAR acts today. Are you not going to entertain public testimony before the JLCAR acts today?
Thank you for the question. So because there was a motion made, after a motion is made, public testimony is generally not accepted in any public committee in the legislature. It becomes a discussion on the motion in and of itself is what happens amongst the members of the committee. So because the Representative McGuire chose to make a motion and it was seconded by Representative Avard, that ended discussion amongst the public body and the agency and moved strictly to a discussion amongst the legislature.
Thank you.
All right, that being said, is there any further discussion? So we're gonna do this by a show of hands, so we get.
Roll call.
It's been asked to have a roll call. We don't have a clerk, and so Doug, they usually falls to you. So do a roll call of the sitting members, and reminder of the sitting members, we have all of the senators, and with Senator Avard being sat as an alternate, and then all of the House members are present. How many easy way out there? All right, we'll start with Representative Schmidt,
No.
Representative Lynn,
Yes.
Representative Leon,
Yes.
Representative Rowe,
Yes.
Representative McGuire,
Yes.
Senator Avard,
Yes.
Senator Ward,
Yes.
Senator Long,
Yes.
Senator Innes,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So the vote is 9-1 to approve the rules as presented. All right. Let me go back to the agenda.
Boo.
Is 9-1 to approve the rules as presented. All right, I'm gonna go back to the agenda. All right. So next item of business is with Doug, we'll turn it over to you for the last item of business, number 5. Under other business, we have final proposal, cover sheet report, implementation of expired rules and the filing contained, blah, 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 as well as setting our meeting dates. So,
All right, I guess we'll just start right at the top. The first thing in front of you is the cover sheet for the final proposal. There was legislation last session that made changes to 541A that's going to require reports of implementation of expired rules. We're requesting that we add question 14 to our cover sheet so that if the form isn't required, the agency